Привет. Добрый вечер. Начинаем проходить игру Alan Wake по мотивам Стивена Кинга. Всем приятного просмотра, отличного настроения, доброго вечера.
Stephen King once wrote that nightmares exist outside of logic, and there's little fun to be had in explanations. They're antithetical to the poetry of fear. In a horror story, the victim keeps asking why, but there can be no explanation, and there shouldn't be one. The unanswered mystery is what stays with us the longest, and it's what we'll remember in the end. My name is Alan Wake. I'm a writer. I've always had a vivid imagination, but this dream unsettled me. It was wild and dark and weird, even by my standards. So yes, it began with a dream. Following a typical nightmare pattern, I was late, desperately trying to reach my destination, a lighthouse. For some urgent reason, I couldn't remember. I'd been driving too fast down a coastal road to get there. I'd seen the hitchhiker too late. He was dead. I was convinced they'd put me in jail and I would never see Alice again. Suddenly, his body was gone.
Тут первый.
I was in shock from the crash. I could hardly stay on my feet.
Hello, my name is Mikael Kasurinen and I'm the lead game designer of Alan Wake. This is a video game commentary that spans throughout the whole game. Commentators will appear like this on the screen every time there's something that we like to talk about. But be aware that this commentary is full of spoilers. If you haven't played the game yet and you want to experience it as it was meant to be played, stop now, go back to the option screen and turn off the commentary. You can always come back later. This commentary is location based, so every time you hear a commentary that you want to listen to, stop moving and don't try to advance to the next location. Feel free to look around, but moving forward in the level might actually override the existing commentary. The only way to replay a comment is to restart the last checkpoint. Now, enjoy the commentary and have fun.
Hiya, my name is Tim Lundqvist. I'm one of the level designers of Alan Wake.
Hello, my name is Tero Tosa. I'm a senior environment artist at Remedy.
Hi, I'm Mikko Rautalahti and I'm a writer here at Remedy. Here we are in the very beginning of Alan Wake. Since dreams and dreamlike states are a big deal for us, it's kind of fitting that we start things off with a good old-fashioned nightmare. We also do a couple of other things here though. For example, we introduced Thomas Zane. We don't call him that yet, but that's what the big floating ball of light is. And we also do a tutorial here, and that was actually kind of challenging because it's not very easy to marry the idea of a story introduction and a tutorial together, but you know, I think we did an okay job with that.
You missed your deadline! Damn. Awesome. You can't stop me!
I realized that the hitchhiker was a character from the story I'd been working on.
How does it feel to die by the hands of your own creation?
Да беги ты уже, а.
This way, this way! Hurry! Oh no! Stop! No! Damn it, die! No! No! No!
I was trapped. There was no way out.
Die, 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 die.
The cabin was a death trap. I had to get out.
Тварь.
Follow the light. You are hurt.
The light pole that you see in front of you is a crucial piece in the gameplay of Alan Wake. We call them safe haven. It's a spot of light in the midst of darkness. It provides you safety. While the enemies actually don't want to go in the light, they also heal the player faster and acts as guidance for the player. Every time you see light in front of you, that's usually a good direction to take.
Well done. I have something important to tell you. It goes like this. For he did not know that beyond the lake he called home lies a deeper, darker ocean green, where waves are both wilder and more serene. To its ports I've been. To its ports I've been. Do you understand?
No.
Follow my light.
На мой цвет попал.
To teach you, the darkness is dangerous. It's sleeping now. When it feels you coming, it will wake up.
In this scene, the diver takes control over Wake's dream to teach him how to fight the forces of darkness.
You can't hurt him now.
The basic concept is simple. You turn the light on top of Taken and you can see the darkness burning away. After that, you are able to defeat the Taken with your revolver.
Take the light.
This is a good opportunity to see how the light mechanics work. Turn the light on top of him and you can actually see a small halo forming around him. The halo gets smaller, the less darkness there's left. And you can clearly see a light effect when the shield is burned away. The combat mechanics were always designed around the idea that you face multiple enemies at once. In this tutorial you only get one enemy at a time, but in the field that comes after this, you get 2 or 3 enemies at the same time. Then you get the proper feel of how the combat works. Be careful on who you're concentrating on, because someone else might actually be flanking you and trying to hit you in the back.
Done well. Remember what I've taught you. That is all. I will give you back your dream now.
In the nightmare, a terrible darkness was taking over the world. The lighthouse was the last safe place on Earth.
You made me this way, and now I'm gonna This isn't Wake!
ya.
like.
Oh. Uç. Uç.
I can keep this up forever!
Беги.
Shh, baby. Just another nightmare. Everything's fine. You dozed off.
Right. Anything more than dozed off would be news for everyone.
Cheer up, handsome. We're here.
The events of the game take place in the Pacific Northwest region of the United States. This is a beautiful region that has in the past been featured in numerous TV shows and movies, like The Shining and Twin Peaks. It's famous and recognizable for many things, like fishing and mining and huge redwood tree trunks the size of a bus, beautiful lighthouses. But I think the most recognizable and beautiful feature is the nature. It's an oceanic climate combined with huge mountain ranges and dark forests. The cool thing about it is that there's an enormous amount of moisture constantly flowing in from the Pacific Ocean, and when it hits the mountains it turns into fog. So the end result of that is that almost everywhere you look, there's these dense wisps of fog lazily crawling on the mountains and hillsides, and it really lends the area an almost otherworldly feel.
I hope this isn't too presumptuous of me, but I'm the night host at the local radio station. Any chance I could get an interview?
Look, Mr. Maine, I'm on vacation. In fact, I'd appreciate it if we could keep my being here just between the two of us. I'm sure you understand.
Fair enough. You can trust me to be discreet. Not a hard man to track down if you change your mind, though. I hope you two have a lovely holiday.
Photo.
Very nice. I got a couple of really good ones. And I see you made a friend. That's cute.
Right. Yeah?
Hey, bestseller. How's my favorite writer? Are you there yet?
Barry. Yeah. We just got here.
Are the locals giving you trouble? Just say the word and I'll hop on a plane and come make sure that you're left alone, Al.
No, Barry, we're fine.
Great, great. Just want to make sure you can relax and recharge. So, how is the place? Has it gotten your creative juices flowing?
Barry, we're just settling in.
Okay, Al. I'll call back later to make sure you're doing okay. And you call me if there's a problem, okay? Okay. I'm just looking out for you, buddy. Talk to you later.
I love you too, Barry.
You know he's going to be calling you every 5 minutes.
Barry is Barry. I can always turn off the phone.
What did I tell you?
Text message from Barry. He says hi to you too.
Alan, we're here. Come on, let's get back to the car.
We need to stop at the local diner to get the cabin key from the landlord, a Mr. Carl Stuckey. He's waiting for us. I'll go fill her up while you get the key. I'll pick you up here in, say, 15 minutes?
Sure.
Alan, thank you for coming here with me.
I love you too. Go on. I'll promise to behave. I'd forgotten there were still places like this. Towns where everybody knew everybody.
Welcome to the Oh Dear Diner.
Hi, I was wondering if you could help me. I'm looking for...
Mr. Wake. Alan Wake. Oh, God! I am your biggest fan. I know people say that all the time, but I really am.
I'm glad to hear that.
Rose.
Rose, I'm looking for Mr. Stuckey. Carl Stuckey?
Carl? Oh, of course, Mr. Wake. He must have gone to visit the restroom. He'll be back in a moment. I can't believe it. I've got all your books.
Diners are the very essence of traditional Americana and the hearts of small-town communities, such as Bright Falls.
Well, okay.
There being so many of them, and many of them looking very much like each other, source material for this location was always going to be plentiful. But even so, from the start, we had a certain one in mind. If you can remember a certain black tie-wearing, pie-munching FBI agent who likes a damn fine cup of coffee, you'll know the one I'm talking about.
I didn't want to wait. I wanted to find Stuckey, to get the key and get out as soon as possible. Hello? Mr. Stuckey?
Carl couldn't make it. Unfortunately, he was taken ill. But I have the key for you and instructions on how to get to the lake.
Okay.
I wish you a good stay in my cabin.
Чё
I'll
делаешь
come
в
by
мужском
later to check how
туалете?
you've settled in.
Курица?
And to meet your wife. I insist.
Thanks.
Cauldron Lake is a special place. Very inspiring.
You got lucky this time, young man. You can hurt yourself in the dark.
Even that sounds better than your singing.
Are you all right?
The Andersons, they're, local musicians. We're waiting for Dr. Hartman to come pick them up.
Mission accomplished. The key and the directions.
My hero. I got some flashlights, just in case.
Hey, wait! Mrs. Wake! Your keys!
That diner was a real nut house.
Can you believe this place? This would make a wonderful setting for a book.
We're supposed to be on vacation, Alice. I'll figure it out when we get back home. Okay?
Okay. We can talk about this later.
Batman here, I'm KBFF.
I didn't want to talk about it. I wanted to bury my head in sand.
Here's another one of my favorites to go with it.
Once upon a time, I was a successful writer, but that was a long time ago. I hadn't been able to write a word in 2 years, not since my last book.
And now the weather. It's gonna be a clear night, so you folks in the big city might want to look up every once in a while. See those stars winking down at you? It gets pretty dark out here, but they'll light your way.
It's gorgeous, Alan.
It's something, all right.
Bird Lake Cabin is an idyllic, a little rundown but nevertheless beautiful cabin nestled in a small island on the Cauldron Lake. But not all about it is as it seems. You see, in the 70s there was a big eruption and the whole island sank and it took down the cabin with it. So it shouldn't really exist. Yet somehow it does. The original idea for the Bird Lake Cabin was that it was actually alive. That it would roam about in the forests at night, rising onto its legs that would at daytime look like bird leg-shaped roots sticking out from under it. In the end, the story evolved into having the name of Bird Lake Cabin simply derive from the peculiar shape of the island and also from the frontal facade of the building, where a chimney, which looks like a beak, and two round windows looked like its face, and two porches, one on either side, looked like its wings.
The cabin looked like a time capsule from the 60s, or even earlier. For a moment, the oppressive feel of the nightmare I had seen on the ferry returned. Damn. I needed to get the power running in the cabin. There had to be a fuse box or a generator somewhere on the island.
There's probably a fuse box or a generator in the shed.
An old generator had been connected to the power cable.
The lights are on! Good work, honey. I'll freshen up a bit and start settling in.
Okay, I'll look around a bit.
The island had once been the site for a love story. Maybe it would be that. It was a beautiful place. I told myself I could rest here, sleep here, and forget about my work. I thought we could be happy here.
We spend a lot of time talking about Alice in the game, but we don't actually see all that much of her because she disappears. That's why it was very important for us to establish her as a major force in Wake's life in the very beginning of the game.
Alice?
Their relationship is very interesting because Alice is actually a lot smarter and stronger than Wake is. She's capable of manipulating him and is quite willing to do so if need be. That's how they end up.
Surprise!
Alice? What is this?
I guess I have a small confession to make. I thought maybe you could write here that a change of scenery would get you past—
Damn it, Alice, everyone keeps—
Hey, just hear me out. There's a local doctor, Dr. Hartman. I read a book of his. He has a private clinic here. He specializes in helping artists.
So now you want to get me committed?
No, it's not like that. That's not— Alan? Alan?
Just don't! I don't want to hear it. God damn it, Alice! God damn it! I knew she wouldn't follow me in the dark. I needed some time alone to think things through.
Так, Масс ходит походу.
Damn it. Alice?
Alice? Alice!
The cabin had gone dark. All the lights were out.
Alan Wake has a lot of problems. His marriage is failing, he's suffering from the results of extremely poor impulse control, and frankly, the guy is a bit of a dick. He's not a bad writer, he's definitely a decent one, and obviously he's been very successful, but you know, it's probably not a coincidence that the moment he sets out to write this really good novel...
Alice? Alice? Oh no!
Keep going, Alan. Wake up.
Alice?
Waking up in the crashed car felt like I had woken from one nightmare and entered another. I couldn't remember how I got there. All I knew was that something terrible had happened to Alice. The phone was dead. I'd have to find help on foot.
Designing the environments, we are making full use of the diversity of nature in Pacific Northwest region. In this episode, we find Alan Wake crashed in a car, unable to climb back to the road, and facing a long hike through the forest to reach a distant gas station where he hopes to find help. The area is a rocky, forested valley. He has to go through a logging site and also a marshland that follows the bottom of the valley and a river crossing. In the end, there is a vintage old gas station to explore, so really it's a visually very interesting location.
Hello?
Hello? Is someone there? The loose sheets of paper were pages from a manuscript entitled Departure. That was the name I planned to use for the next novel I had never gotten started. I was named the author. I hadn't written it. I couldn't remember writing it. In the scene on the page, the hero was attacked by an axe murderer in the woods at night.
That's the...
Well, as you can see, Wake has just found his first manuscript pages. They just sort of floated down from an unearthly light. And the manuscript is really one of our main storytelling tools in the whole thing, and one of our most important concepts in the entire game. And that stuff was actually really difficult to write because, you know, you don't have a lot of space there. You have a couple of paragraphs, and you kind of need to be able to tell a little story there.
Yeah, and I also think that manuscript pages are a big part of the whole Alan Wake experience. While it also tells a lot about the world itself, it also gives you a really deep history of different characters in the game.
Yeah, and it feels kind of natural too, because you know, we sort of made the pages a part of the whole thing. They're not just sort of, you know, random things in the, you know, sort of, you know, on the sideline, but they're actually something that's really a part of the plot because they really are the plot.
Exactly. And I especially like the idea how certain pages actually predict some events that are going to occur in the future.
Yeah, we do a lot of foreshadowing there, but it's not, you know, we don't really do the kind of a thing where we sort of, you know, hint at something. We actually come right out and flat out, you know, say it, because that's sort of, we want to prove the player that, you know, what's written on the pages actually literally happens in the game.
Yeah, it's really cool when that happens. If somebody actually reads the page and sees how the stuff unfolds in front of him while he plays it, I think that would be really cool for somebody. And it's so bad that I've actually read all the pages, I don't get that experience, but I would think that it's really cool when you actually experience it.
And I know a lot of players are probably just going to run through and just sort of skip the pages, and, you know, that's fine, you can do that, you can play a, you know, cool action game like that, but there's actually a lot more to the game than just the shooting.
Yeah, exactly.
There's been an accident. I need help. Listen, I need to...
Premium cabins for rent in...
Oh, hell.
Carl Stuckey.
Pleased
to meet you. Non-refundable reservation deposit required. Fair and square. And
square.
Good.
to arrive, you lose.
Shit. I had to figure a way out of this. Any second now, and Stuckey would be knocking on the door with his axe like Nicholson in The Shining.
During your trying.
I wasn't about to open the door, as long as I was liable to catch an axe with my forehead.
Ruben, one stone. You can see the sights and keep those cholesterol levels.
Yes.
Bright Falls Sheriff Station. How may I?
Hello? Hello?
This is bad.
Even though most of the enemies attack you with melee weapons, some of them are able to use ranged weapons as well. I think it's way cooler when somebody's throwing stuff at you instead of shooting. Or maybe I just got tired of that in our previous games.
Заругать.
My head pounded with a concussion. I'd never fired a gun outside a shooting range, and now I just killed someone. Or something. There were no bodies. They just disappeared. If I was dreaming, it felt real enough to make me sick. The dark forest was the last place I wanted to go, but I had no choice. I had to get to the gas station.
It's rabbit season!
What the hell was that? When I saw the river below, something uncoiled itself inside my head. I realized that I'd have to find a way across. I didn't even want to look.
Wake's newfound fear of water is a result of his plunge into Cauldron Lake. Of course, at this point in the story, he doesn't know what happened to him, he doesn't remember any of it, but you know, on some subconscious level, he knows that he's been violated, and he associates that with the water.
Stucky was still out there, in the dark, stalking me. What the hell was that? When I saw the river below, something uncoiled itself inside my head. I realized that I have to find a way across.
Wake's newfound fear of water is a result of his plunge into Cauldron Lake. Of course, at this point in the story, he doesn't know what happened to him, he doesn't remember any of it, but you know, on some subconscious level, he knows that he's been violated, and he associates that with the water.
Yeah.
Stucky was still out there, in the dark, stalking me. The staircase was broken. I had to make my way up some other way. There was no power. There was bound to be a generator somewhere at the logging site. With all this forestry equipment around, there had to be something I could use to reach the top. Eerie hand-painted graffiti was revealed by my flashlight. Someone had hidden a chest of supplies near it.
Well, I was just outside for a breath of fresh air, and what a night. I know most of you are probably in your beds by now, but if you're still up and around, take a moment. Step outside for a spell and breathe in deep. The weather is absolutely still. The sky is crystal clear. It's like the forest is quietly breathing along with you. As you listeners know, I'm a night owl, and it's on nights like this I wish I wasn't cooped up in the studio. Makes an old man like me wish I could just roam wild.
Всем привет, ребят.
But here I am, and who'd keep you company all night long if I weren't? Yeah, it looks like I'm not the only one staying up late. Caller, you're on the air. Hello, Maurice. What are you up to?
The gas station was closer now. Its light welcoming in the darkness.
Most of the gameplay locations we have in the game incorporate the idea of a journey into them. It basically means that we try to show where player is coming from and where he's going to as often as possible. In the beginning of episode 1, this meant that we showed the lighthouse whenever possible, and of course now we use the gas station in similar role.
Ау. Ай. Юп. Так.
Here we can see some of the nasty enemies that we have. We call them flankers because they try to circle around you and stab you in the back. Though they are quite easy to take out.
Cut salad, though. A man like me needs a hefty meal. That's for the day.
The journey from the crash car onwards has seen a steady escalation of suspense, and now we're wrapping it up with the meeting with possessed Carl Stucky.
As you might bet, it can be dangerous. It requires patience. Oh no. Even with the engine takes coming tools is an easy and fatal.
Да хрен с тобой.
Stucky's body vanished, leaving behind only a lifetime of nightmares to come. Assuming I'd reach the lights at the gas station alive.
Пыль.
You're about to find the first TV at the gas station where we see Alan Wake raving like a lunatic. Cynthia Weaver actually talks about a similar thing later on in the game when she mentions that Thomas Zane has been talking to her from beyond and from television, and it's kind of a similar thing. Wake isn't aware of how it's happening, but that's what it is. We are thinking of Alan Wake as kind of a sum of three parts actually. Our writing, Ilkka Villi's face and body language, and Matthew Poreta's voice. And
or that there'd been some kind of fight.
I'll write. I'll keep writing. Outside there's only doors. Outside the cabin. Outside the store. I can feel her presence in the dark. Just now I could smell her perfume in the room. I'll reach her. I'll fix it up. I'll bring her back. She's lost.
Great Falls Sheriff Station.
Oh, thank God, Sheriff.
Sheriff Sarah Breaker. You are...
I'm Alan Wake, but listen. I was in a car crash. My wife, Alice, she's missing.
Calm down, Mr. Wake.
We were staying in a cabin on the island, on Cauldron Lake.
There's no island on Cauldron Lake. Not since the big eruption in the 70s.
Please, I can take you there, okay?
You look like you've taken a pretty bad knock to the head. Are you okay?
Listen.
We'll figure this out. Please get in the car. We'll swing by the lake and then we'll go to the station, okay? Mr. Wake, have you seen Stucky, the guy who owns this place?
I realized I couldn't tell her what had happened in the forest. She wouldn't have believed me. And then she wouldn't have helped me with Alice. On Alan Wake. I came to Bright Falls with my wife, Alice.
Thank you for coming here with me. I thought maybe you could write here.
I don't want to hear it! God damn it, Alice!
Now, she's missing.
Alice? Alice?
I woke up behind the wheel of a crashed car.